Ahoy, shipmates! I've taken a little day trip down to Calshot Castle. Thought we'd watch the comings and goings into Southampton Water. And our first contestant is the Musketeer. Musketeer is a bulk carrier, built in 2006 and operated by Faversham Ships. At a top speed of 12 knots and a cruising speed of 10.5 knots. She has a strengthened hull capable of carrying cargo up to 15 tons per metre cubed. It's quite a fine looking vessel, I think. A lot more traffic down here at Calshot, so we get a few more pleasure boats in with our shots this time. Well, as you can see here, we're facing back up Southampton Water. The River Hamble in the top right hand corner of the screen. And you can begin to see how busy this area is. And now if you look in the top left hand corner of the screen, you can see coming towards us is one of the red funnel ferries, the most expensive ferry crossings in the world, and a large container ship and a number of tanker vessels at the refinery port of Fawley. And here we have the Red Eagle, one of the 3 ferries to the Isle of Wight. You may often see them in my other videos. They are lurking around quite often near Mayflower Park. And then in the background, you can see the power station of Fawley Power Station, which is now being decommissioned. I don't know if you can tell, but the building is slowly being disassembled. And supposedly in August this year, they were going to blow up the big chimney, which I was rather looking forward to. Bit of a shame. They had some plans for that. Very moody sky today. Sky got some really good colours in the clouds, but unfortunately it's made the water a particularly unpleasant shade of grey-green. I'll come around to this angle, it's a slightly better shade. I'll try another shot this way, perhaps. That's better, but it's not the best of lighting conditions. As is typical on the bank holiday weekend this year, the red funnel ferries were broken down. We normally get 1 breakdown, but this year we had 2 breakdowns. That caused much chaos as people tried to escape the mainland to the Isle of Wight. Originally, the plan for the top of the tower at the Fawley Power Station, which is going to be converted into a large residential complex with a little port and canals, something a bit like you might see in Venice, but in the south coast of England. The original plan for the top of the tower was a revolving restaurant, which would have afforded wonderful views across the Solent and Southampton Water, the New Forest and the oil refinery. But alas, the New Forest Tourist Board pooh-poohed this idea and said they didn't want to encourage people to the forest. Okay. Now, as you can see, there is a number of pleasure vessels heading towards us. This is one of the busiest stretches of water for pleasure vessels in the world. I'll just speed up this bit so you get an idea of the volume of traffic that comes past here. I guess you could say this is a ship spotter's paradise. Sailing boats, small speedboats and some reasonable sized powerboats as well. The occasional super yacht, and more importantly, a super large container ship. I just have to wait for this little pack of speedboats to get out of the way. And you can see the Harbour Patrol giving an escort to the CMA CGM Jean Mermoz. Again, it's not the best of lighting conditions today, although other than that, conditions were fairly good. Low wind and reasonably warm. The CMA CGM Jean Mermoz was delivered in May of 2018. He's flagged in Malta. Has a top speed of 22 knots, which I feel is quite impressive for a ship of this size. As she is 400 metres long, with a draft of 16 metres and a beam of 59. Gross tonnage is 219,000. The CMA CGM Jean Mermoz is named after a French aviator, as seems to be the typical norm with this class of container ship. Jean Mermoz was born in 1901 in France, and he was a French aviator, and viewed as a hero by other pilots such as Saint-Exupéry, which is another one of the CMA CGM's fleet. Many schools bear his name, and in Brazil he's also recognised as a pioneer aviator. He joined the French Air Force in 1922. And in 1924 returned to France after a duty in Syria, having arguably been one of the most successful pilots in the Syrian operations. Unfortunately, he didn't have a particularly good end to his career. He was flying a mail plane and had a trouble with the engine. After learning he'd have to wait for another one to be repaired, he took off again after a temporary repair. His last words before boarding the plane were, "Quick, let's not waste any more time." 4 hours later, a radio station received a short message reporting he'd cut the power to the aft starboard engine. The message was interrupted briefly. It's assumed that the temporary repair to the propeller was in fact not effective, causing the propeller to come loose and damaging the fuselage and causing the plane to crash. But here we are just seeing a patch of sunlight here, bringing a much needed dash of colour to that water. The trouble with the dramatic grey skies, it gives you rather dull water. And that's a pleasing sight. A lovely, colourful, massive container ship with all the colourful containers on. And in the background there you can see the Red Funnel Ferry, the Red Eagle, which is now turning to starboard to avoid the Bramble Bank, which is between Southampton Water and the Isle of Wight. It's a surprisingly large bank, which at low tide can be visible. Catches out many a mariner. From the vantage point here down at Calshot, which I recommend a little drive down in your car. You get a glorious view of the Solent and Southampton water and all the traffic, be it large or small, commercial or pleasure. And you get a good view of the cruise ships, if that takes your interest. No cruise ships today, unfortunately. But I did hear on the radio a rather large vessel coming down the water, which I thought we'd have a look at. It's the Black Rock. Now, I can't tell you much about this, unfortunately, apart from the fact it's a 23-metre motor vessel. And very glorious looking she is too. It even has mirrored windows. I'm expecting any moment James Bond to parachute in. Could have done with a little more sun, I think, just to really pick up. It's very difficult with a black hull. But apparently she was out for a sea trial. If you look carefully, you can see a few mechanics in the engine hatch up. I'm imagining they've been effecting a engine repair of some description. In fact, I can't even work out what the brand of this vessel is, but perhaps someone can tell me in the comments section. But at 23 metres, she's quite an impressive sports cruiser with a little jet ski on the back. Certainly a Bond special, that one. In fact, I can imagine in the up and coming weeks, with the Southampton Boat Show running, that this would be just the sort of boat that you'd be seeing at Southampton Boat Show. Not the same boat show as every year. When Southampton Boat Show is one of the largest floating boat shows in the world. But unfortunately this year it's been cancelled due to the obvious pandemic crisis. But instead a new boat show has arrived at the same location, called the Boats 2020 show. A smaller show, not quite so many boats and not so many stands. It's been organised at a much shorter notice, but nonetheless it's going ahead anyway, so there could well be a lot more boat spotting occurring in the next week or so. Thought that was an interesting shot from above. Very slender vessel. I'm sure it's got a very good top speed on this one. Just as a comparison, here's a little cabin cruiser zipping along the water. Lovely day for it. And I also spotted this. I'm not entirely sure what it is. Some sort of sailed vessel. I don't know. Not really into those sorts of things. But anyway, looks impressive. Well, until next time, shipmates.